an outcast. If, when you met Miscavige, you answered his authoritarian instructions with, "Okay, Dave," instead of, "Yes, sir," would he immediately punch you in the face? I think actually it would depend on what level of Scientology you were at in terms of the Sea Org, where in the Sea Org, or whether you were a public person or a staff member or something like that, actually. Because he was not overtly violent that I know of when he was visiting or touring, lower echelons. So but I'll tell you a story. There was a time, and this was a story that was told to me when I was in the Sea Org, where Miscavige was inspecting some base, some Sea Org area, not mine. And a guy who did not know who he was a new Sea Org member, had never heard of David Miscavige somehow, and he was sitting at his desk, and Miscavige comes in, and the guy doesn't stand up. He's sitting at his, doing his work, and he looks up and he sees David Miscavige there, and he continues doing his work, and David Miscavige walks over to his desk and looks at him and says, "Do you know who I am?" And the guy looks up at him and says, "No." And he just was like, "I don't believe this," right? And he walked out. And about 5 people ran in after he walked out and straightened this new guy out on how off the rails and wrong he was for not standing up and saluting or addressing David Miscavige as sir and getting his head on straight about this. So there's a lot of internal pressure within the Sea Org at all levels to give David Miscavige his proper due. And it's stories like that get circulated, I am absolutely sure, on purpose, by certain people in the Sea Org in order to create this mystique and aura of respect and fear and admiration towards David Miscavige, even if you never even heard of the guy or ran across him before. Now, these days, of course, this was back in the 90s or way back in the day, compared to now, where David Miscavige is the only guy in the spotlight in Scientology. There is nobody else but David Miscavige. It used to be that there was a whole cadre of people who were international management executives who had, people knew who they were, and there was respect and there was admiration for those people. Not anymore. As I've mentioned earlier in this episode, Miscavige got rid of all those guys. So now it's all just about him. If you were at the international base and you pulled something like that, you'd be dead pretty fast. It would not be pretty. And I have seen people in massive amounts of trouble for crossing David Miscavige in some way, even at a public level, getting ostracized, kicked out of the church, getting severe talking to, having to do amends for, hours and hours and things like that because they somehow slighted him in some way or misspoke about him or something like that. You just don't, it's just not something you mess around with in Scientology. But it kind of depends a little bit on the circumstances and the situation and the mood and, all that kind of stuff. It's very arbitrary. There's no set, this is how it always goes down for that.